Hello, everybody. We are today going to talk about the magic card. It's so magical that you just hand them a card and they give you stuff. They give you food. They give you whatever, a coffee, whatever.
Yeah,
It's called the magic card.
I think it sounds amazing.
Oh, I love magic card.
What is this magic
Oh, the
card?
magic card is a credit card. It's fantastic.
Oh,
Yeah, it's better as they give you more money you can spend on your card. If you have a $10,000 limit, that's a lot of fun you
that's a
can have with
lot of
that
fun.
magic card because you can spend up to $10,000, Justin. It's
Shoot,
fantastic.
that does sound like a lot of fun.
And you might be saying, well, do you have to pay that off? Well, yeah, you have to pay a little bit every month, but not at all.
That's not
You
bad.
don't have to pay it all,
That's not bad. If I just have to pay a little bit.
just a little bit every month.
Okay, okay. When was your first time, Ryan, that you heard about credit cards or got your first foray into working with these magic
Yeah,
cards, as you
sure.
call them?
I got my first magic card back in college.
Okay.
So me and my buddy Santana were off freshman year. They had booths set up for the freshmen and for everybody, obviously, and a lot of free stuff given out. And I saw this nice T-shirt, and I want that T-shirt. So I went up and thought I'd have to, buy it.
Yeah.
And they said, "Oh, you don't have to buy this. You just have to sign up for a credit card."
Ooh.
I'm like, "That's easy enough." So I signed up. They handed me the shirt, and then within the month, I got the magic card in my mail.
And all of a sudden you had money.
And I had, I think, a $500 limit on that thing.
Wow.
And I didn't go crazy with it, but I did use it. Absolutely.
We absolutely did. Yeah, I think the first time I got my credit card, it wasn't like you. It's small, right?
Yeah.
$500, couple $100, and I used it. I didn't understand credit cards. I don't think it was ever really taught or talked to me.
Wasn't taught in high school where you went?
It definitely wasn't taught in high school when I was in high school, and I don't think my parents really said anything to me other than like make sure you pay it off. But I got a minimum, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So I did. I paid off a couple $100 credit card, not a problem. But then I actually learned what these magic cards or credit cards can do, right? Now, real quick, we've got a problem here. We're setting numbers. Back in Q3 of 2023, household debt got up to 17.3 trillion dollars.
That's crazy.
Right? And this isn't the government we're talking about. This is household, right?
Yeah.
We're on a spending problem right now. Right here below it says the average credit card debt is $6,300. $6,300. You might have more, you might have less,
Or you might have none.
or you might have none.
There's some people like that.
There are definitely some people like that. I know one.
You too.
This is true.
Okay.
But $6,300. This is kind of the average. And why do people get in debt, Ryan? Do you know any reasons why people might get in debt?
There can be a few reasons. One, they want more than they have the money for right now. And they don't want to delay gratification.
That might be a big one.
So with a credit card, that $2,000 purchase you want, you don't necessarily have to save up for. You can just get it now if you have a credit card. So
yep.
A lot of people struggle with delayed gratification.
Okay.
That's one. Another one would be they don't even think about the cost it's going to cost. Like what is, if I use this, how is it going to affect me? Like I'll have to pay it back. Yeah, but I don't know much about like interest rate or whatever that means. I'll just pay it back. So they're not really well educated on how a credit card really works.
Right.
And the ins and outs of it, I would say, is another one.
Yeah. So a little bit of lack of education
on how they work. Yeah.
On how they work, and then they just kind of create bad habits of spending more than what they have. Is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Right.
They don't want to wait until they save up for that purchase, whether it's a $2,000 purchase or a $200 purchase, because they can use that card.
They can use the card. Yeah, I could think of another one here that kind of that goes along with that is life. Life happens.
Yeah.
Maybe you lost your job. Maybe there was an accident you were involved in. Maybe you went to college, right?
True.
So this is just things in life that happen. So that's why I think some people would have some credit cards.
No, and that's a great point. I'll give another quick example. Ideally, in my opinion, and I'm sure yours too, you use only cash you have. You build up an emergency fund because, like you said, things do happen. Cars break down, for example.
Absolutely.
And then ideally, you use your emergency fund to fix any problems you have versus using a credit card or going to a friend or family member to borrow money.
Right.
But that's not always the case,
Right.
for different reasons.
Right. You're talking about this magic card at the beginning here, and you've got your cart full of groceries.
Oh,
You're
yeah,
going
come
out to
on, everything.
lunch and
Let's go.
dinner and getting your Starbucks here.
Oh, I
And-
didn't say Starbucks.
Oh, sorry.
I go to a different coffee shop. It's not that I'm anti-Starbucks, but and I
But
go
I'm
to
just anti-Starbucks.
but I don't want to promote them, and they're promote. I go to this local coffee shop. So, sorry.
We'll edit that.
Yeah.
So I think, like you just said, though, if you don't have the money for it, you don't get it.
Right.
And I think a lot of people fall into that trap. Well, I deserve, or I worked hard this week. I'm going to spoil myself and get. And that's a bad habit to get into. That's a dangerous habit to get into.
Right.
And if you don't have the money, build up your emergency fund, 100%. Build up your emergency fund and work from that instead of the credit card.
Absolutely.
So, if you are new, you got to start somewhere, whether it's a t-shirt that entices you or whether, I don't even know what enticed me.
Yeah.
Just wanted to feel prestigious. I don't know. But a couple of things or a recommendation would be to start with gas. You've got a great story about a student who
Right.
used a credit card.
Yeah, I had this former student that when he was about 19, 20, he told me he got a credit card and he started using it only to buy gas for his car. So he had a routine, a system, a plan. And by doing that over, if he does this over a few years, his credit score will go up because they'll see that he's very responsible with using his credit card and paying it off in its entirety every month. So he's building up good habits, building a good credit score, which we're going to talk about later.
Yep.
He had a plan with the credit card when he got it versus just getting it and saying, all right, I got money now.
True. And you said a really good point there. He paid it all off.
All off every month.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Because we've talked about before, it's a 30-day loan.
Right.
It's not a year loan. And if you don't pay it off every 30 days, they're making money off you with the interest charged.
These interests on credit cards are anywhere from, like, I think we have actually capped out on the highest interest rates on credit cards now, with everything that's gone out. But you're talking like a 30% interest rate on a credit card, give or take, 15% if you've got like
better credit,
special perks, I guess.
Yeah, or that's when credit score comes into
Yeah,
place.
yeah. I don't even know though, because my credit or my interest isn't that low.
Oh, really?
It's not 15%. I
No.
think I'm around 19, and I've got a pretty good credit score, and I don't have any
That's
outstanding
interesting.
debts.
So they don't even really care that you've been responsible. They still hope you become irresponsible,
right,
or make a mistake.
These credit card companies are preying off of people to use these cards irresponsibly, and then we get sad.
No, I've thought about that. If 8 people are responsible and only 2 aren't, and you take that times thousands of people with credit cards, they're making a lot of money. So they even if only 10% of people are paying late payments, and they're making a lot of money. So 90% of people could be responsible, and they're still fine. They're making good money.
Right. So here's a couple of things, pros and cons. Right. I don't want to scare you away from credit cards. I just want to give you the education and some information and something that maybe sparks something in you to go do some research. Pros and cons of credit cards. One, Ryan was enticed to get a t-shirt when he got his credit card
for free.
Right. I'm 100% on board with that. I think a free t-shirt would get me, you could give me a free sticker and I would do it. Right.
That's funny.
Give me something free. So nowadays, though, we get maybe cash back incentives, 2%, 1%, 3% cash back incentives. Sometimes there's sign-up bonuses. They give you X amount of points, which really isn't that much, but they try to dangle that carrot in front of you, that free t-shirt. Here's one I think people get a little bit confused on. It says extra layer of purchase security. Okay, purchase security, once again, isn't purchasing power. It's not like I have an extra $10,000. You mentioned $10,000 credit limit in your pocket. That's not what it is, right? What the security is like identity protection, right? If somebody takes your credit card and starts going to buy stuff, well, you have that extra layer of purchasing security.
Against that fraud that happens a
Right.
lot in our country.
All the time, right?
Yeah, credit cards are always being stolen and used.
Yep.
But that security will save you.
Yeah.
With a credit card.
100%. It builds a stronger credit score. Ryan, what you mentioned credit score with your student with buying the gas and building his credit score. Tell me a little bit about this credit score. What is it, and what can it do for you?
In simplified terms, and talking about it quickly, the higher credit score you have, the better rate you get on loans.
Perfect.
It's as simple as that. So if you want to get a car loan and you have great credit score, you might get a 6% loan. If you have average credit or poor credit, you might be paying 8 or 10%. So basically paying more money for the same car because you haven't proven you've been good with your paying your bills and other things.
So you got to be responsible.
Right. It's one of the 5 factors that go into your credit score.
Right.
There's other factors to determine your credit score. Which, if you're interested in going a deep dive on that, you can find some good stuff.
There's some good stuff. I have some real estate, and I use credit score to vet my tenants. If they don't have a certain minimum credit score that I'm looking for, they're off the table immediately. So credit score can help you from buying a car to getting rent to buying a house. Right. So credit cards are pretty important here.
I'm glad you mentioned the rent one because I think that's not as obvious to a lot of people. They only think good credit score, better loans.
Right.
But with apartments, and a lot of people have to rent for, it's harder and harder to buy a house if that's your goal. So renting could last in your 20s, 30s, 40s, even if you want to buy a house. So having that good credit score gets you into that apartment or house that you want in the neighborhood you might want, things like that.
Right. Of course.
Yeah.
And that's everybody wants a nice, safe place.
Yep, you want the best place possible for yourself.
I have this saying that if you don't have the money, you don't get the thing. But here's the thing. You might have some debt. I would recommend a couple of things to help you, right? One of them is to make a plan and to realize that this is going to take some sacrifice. This isn't just going to be an easy thing. Your friends are going out on the weekend. What are you doing, Ryan, if you've got some debt?
Oh, I'm doing my second or third job.
Yeah.
And I'm reading a book or watching TV for my entertainment.
From the comforts of your own house.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right.
Right. I'm really living cheaply because I want to eventually pay off that debt and get ahead.
Yeah. And those are the sacrifices that we're talking about. Next up, this might seem obvious, but credit cards are kind of addicting. You can't use that credit card if you're trying to pay it off. Okay. You have a story of people putting it in the freezer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've heard, there's stories where people, they are trying to have the discipline not to use it. So they'll put it like in a bowl and then with water and freeze it. And then if they get tempted to make a purchase online or out in public, they have to take some time for it to thaw. Hopefully by then they come to their senses and say, no, this is why I have it frozen. And then they don't do it.
And they move along.
So it's a funny little suggestion I've heard people, that have used to stop using their credit card.
Right. So here's a question for you, kind of a personal thing, but which one's more important? Is it more important to get rid of the debt, or is it more important to invest? Personally,
from my personal finances, if I was in this situation and I did have some debt earlier in my 20s, I'd get rid of debt first.
Yeah.
Get rid of the debt, and then when you're done with getting rid of debt, it frees up money for the 3 F's I've called it.
Right.
You can now have some fun money and you can invest in the future for your future. That's the second F. And then the third F is philanthropy, which I know starts with a P, but it shouldn't. It should start with an F. We need to change that so you can give money away. Eventually you want to get to a point where you have extra money at the end of the month.
Yeah. And
then you can do what you want with it. I call it the 3 F's.
Right. So. And I think that's important to recognize that getting rid of the debt so that you have some fun money at the end.
Yeah.
That is a lifestyle that you should strive for, right? Because one, if you're paying a 30% interest on your credit card, I don't know too many investments that are going to give you a 30% return.
No.
that's great for the credit card company. They're getting a 30% return, and we're paying it.
30% is crazy.
So pay off your debts. We both recommend pay off your debts first,
Right.
and then invest. Now, here's the thing. Don't lie to yourself about credit cards. Don't justify to yourself, oh, I'm good with money. I'm good with my credit card, and you've got this $6,000 of debt that you're just rolling over month after month, right? Pay it down. If you can't handle the credit card, that's okay. Personal finance is personal.
Yeah, it's worked for me.
But I think you have to be honest with yourself.
Yeah.
Right? If you're constantly just running in circles, maybe the credit card isn't for you. I think that's a great place to stop as well. We've talked about a lot of stuff with credit cards, how they can be helpful, how they could be detrimental. Gave some options. What homework should we give this week, Ryan?
Very simple. Just if you do have any debt, credit card debt especially, because that's what we focus on, pay that off sooner than later so you can free that money up for other things, to become eventually financially independent, which is everybody's goal. Everyone wants to be financially independent someday in their life, ideally sooner than later.
Yeah. And I would even put onto that, create a plan that allows you to pay it off more than just paying the minimum.
It's a good idea.
Right?
Be really aggressive.
Challenge you that for your homework this week. Challenge right there.
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's great. Yeah.
I think we should wrap it up.
All right.
Okay. Appreciate everybody coming out. Thank you very much. We'll
Cheers.
catch you next time.
Yeah. Talk to you later.
See ya.